To sing, you may not need to know how it all works, but it sure helps to understand what it is you're working with. So I'm going to spend a few minutes just to talk about the actual structure of your vocal mechanism. The center of all of that is your larynx. Your larynx is also known as your voice box, and it is this whole area here that houses your vocal cords. The main structure, which is actually right around your vocal cords, is your thyroid cartilage. If you put your fingers right here in the middle of your throat over your Adam's apple and you talk, say hello, you can feel it buzzing. Yes, because your vocal cords are vibrating even when you talk and creating sound waves, similar to when you sing, just probably usually a little bit of a lower pitch. But right here is also where your vocal cords are connected. They're connected behind your Adam's apple and they go backwards to connect to your arytenoid cartilages. Your vocal cords are many layers. And in the very center of those layers is a very important muscle, your thyroarytenoid muscle. But we'll talk more about that later. So your vocal cords are right there, and they open up when you breathe, and they close up in order to vibrate. Sometimes not all the way together. If it's an airy sound, they're a little bit further apart. More on that later as well. But on the outside of your actual vocal cords, there's also your false vocal folds. You can use those to make sound effects. Think about Louis Armstrong. I got trees of green. He's pushing together his false vocal cords to make that crusty sound. We also have to make sure that if we don't want that crusty sound, that we're not tensing those things up. Again, tension in your neck will affect your vocal production. Just above your thyroid cartilage, there's a bit of a gap. You can feel it if you take one finger and you go down until you feel a notch just above your Adam's apple. In fact, it feels quite nice to massage along there. That gap there is between your larynx and your hyoid bone. Below your thyroid cartilage is your cricoid cartilage. The cricoid is connected muscularly to your thyroid. Very importantly, with some muscles called the cricothyroid muscles that help to pull your whole mechanism and tip it in order to stretch your vocal cords for higher notes. Above your thyroid cartilage, above your vocal cords, is your epiglottis. It's like a lid, which keeps food from getting down into your lungs. That's super important. But also, it closes off your air if that's closed down. So that has to lift up every time you breathe and also when you sing. The back of your throat, where your food goes down, is called your esophagus. That's a separate tube from your trachea. They come together, however, above the epiglottis, which goes up all the way into your mouth and also has a channel that goes up into your nose. When you get into your mouth, right in the back there, you'll notice it's soft. That soft part there is known as your soft palate. When you make a yawn, it lifts up. The same is true when you do a nice open ooh. Try to do your best opera O. Ooh. You feel your soft palate lifting up. The same thing is true if you just say sing-o, sing-o, lifts up your soft palate. In front of your soft palate is your hard palate. And then, of course, your tongue, which connects in the back, but it also is quite a large muscle. It's not just this little part in the front. You can lift your back of your tongue up or the front of your tongue up, which also makes a big difference in your singing, in your tone. Also, your vowel sounds are much controlled by your tongue, your lips, your soft palate as well. The arytenoid cartilages themselves are a couple of small triangular pyramid-shaped cartilages that are in the back of the larynx and attached to your vocal cords. Another important part of your vocal mechanism involves your breath. Your diaphragm muscle, which I'm sure you've heard of, is a sort of frown-shaped muscle that is underneath your lungs, and it's within your rib cage. When you expand your rib cage, your diaphragm flattens out, and then that is part of the control mechanism so that you don't just let all your air go when you're doing a good singer's breath. And we'll talk more about that later. And of course, another very important piece of your vocal mechanism is your lungs, which are inside your rib cage that fill up with air, and that is your power source that will fuel your singing. So now that you understand the parts of your vocal mechanism, let's use it. Next up, effective practicing and warming up. You have seen my unformed body, so